What's going on? Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Depends on what time you're watching this. It is Tuesday, and today we have a good old classic benchmark. In fact, this week we have quite a few benchmarks coming up. So, with that, today we are doing the workout Nasty Girls. Nasty Girls is 3 rounds for a time. It is 50 air squats, 7 ring muscle ups. Sorry to all you that have bar muscle ups and don't have ring muscle ups. Might be a good day to try to practice some of those ring muscle ups. And then 10 hang power cleans, which I didn't put the weight up there. Let's change that. 135, 95 for those hang power cleans if I'm going for prescribed. So let's talk about this. The air squat, pretty straightforward. We've all done plenty of squatting before and plenty of air squats. Now sets of 50 can get a little bit mental, but it's really more about muscular endurance when we talk about that instead of ability to actually do 50, depending on where we are as an athlete. But for a lot of us, if we've been doing CrossFit for any period of time, air squats and high volume is not something that we're unfamiliar with, so we're gonna know how to attack this one. Just try to breathe and move. So with my air squat, my feet are about shoulder width apart, my toes are a little bit out, I want to avoid going too wide with my feet because that creates instability and encourages a bad position for the knee. But from here, I'm going to start by sending my hips back. I'm going to sit down until my hip crease is below the top of my knee and then back up to the top. Now, when you're talking about doing big sets and when you're tired already, there's a couple little strategies you can use on your air squats. Now, if I'm moving well and moving quickly, cycling through air squats is not challenging. I want to squeeze my butt at the top, make sure my hips are all the way open at the top, so I'm not doing one of these things and feeling like I'm standing all the way up when I'm just a couple inches range of motion away from actually a full rep. Now when my legs are tired and I want to keep moving, one of the things that I'll do every now and then, and you'll see it with some other athletes as well, is as I'm squatting, I'm going to try to swing my arms to time it to give me some momentum coming out of the bottom to give my quads a little bit of a break. So as I'm squatting, you're gonna see that I'm gonna use that upward momentum to kind of assist in a little bit of a bounce out of the hole from the bottom of the squat, still focusing on squeezing my butt and opening my hips. So with that, there's not much more I need to go through there. Now the second movement is gonna be ring muscle ups. And while I don't have my ring muscle ups back post-COVID yet, we'll still talk about it. The muscle up itself, if I don't have my muscle ups, these straps are all kinds of crazy. Well, we'll deal with it. So if I don't have my muscle ups, things that I could be doing. Now it is not uncommon to see people sub things like chest to bar pull-ups and things like that for ring muscle ups because it is a more aggressive kip. Now we just did chest to bar pull-ups yesterday, so that may not be the best sub. Subbing something like muscle up transitions and dips is probably gonna be better off for you if you don't have a ring muscle up yet. So let's talk about that muscle up transition, and that'll get us into the conversation on muscle ups anyway. So I'm gonna start off with a false grip. I'm gonna reach over the rings, almost like I'm giving myself a fist bump, and my goal is to leave my fist or leave my hand in that position. So as I lean back, I'm keeping that the crook of my wrist is really what's resting on that ring. So you can see like that's where most of my pressure, most of my weight is when I'm holding onto the ring itself. I'm trying to maintain this position. I want you to think about pulling your pinkies in towards your nose. If I think about driving my pinkies towards my nose, I'm actively holding and maintaining that position. So you'll notice when I'm down here in the bottom that my feet are below my hips. So my hips are right over my heels. I'm balancing on my toes. That allows me to use my legs for support if I need it. But what I'm gonna do is with this muscle up transition, I'm gonna pull these rings to my chest, but I'm gonna keep them close together. So as I pull those rings in, they're coming up to my solar plexus. From here, it's send my head through and end up in the bottom of that dip. So now, obviously that was done very slowly and using my legs to support me a lot, but it should be an aggressive pull. Think about trying to send your head through as fast as you can. And you'll notice my hat almost came off. If I was wearing a hoodie, Dan Hollingsworth likes to use this one as the hoodie test. So if I'm wearing a hoodie and it's off my head, if I throw my head through the rings and my hood comes up over my head, then that means I'm doing it well enough. I'm getting aggressive enough with that turnover. because the turnover is the challenging part. The dip out of the muscle up isn't always where people struggle. It's getting over the rings. So again, big key factors there. Pull those rings nice and low on your chest so you can transition over. If I pull to where I would normally do a pull-up, right? If I'm pulling here, I'm not gonna ever be able to get my shoulders up and over the rings. Without a really aggressive kip, it's gonna make it way, way, way harder to do that. And the reason why we end up false gripping too, you'll notice if I'm just dead hanging and I pull, my hand's in this awkward position. I have to turn over the ring to get my hand in a position where I could dip out. So that false grip, when I'm here, imagine my arms extended. As I transition up and over, my hand's already in the position to dip out. So if I don't have ring muscle-ups yet, I should be practicing them with a false grip in order to achieve that. And I want to get to the point where I'm doing maybe 3 to 5 muscle-ups unbroken with a false grip before I start to dabble with that kind of faux false grip where you reach over and have your knuckles over the rings, so your hand's in a better position to turn over, but it's not that full-blown false grip. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. There's no way around the false grip being comfortable. Sorry to say it, you're just gonna have to get used to it, and you'll develop calluses and things like that, and it'll happen, and it'll be fine. So again, that muscle-up transition, if I'm scaling my muscle-ups today, going from that false grip up and through, and then into a ring dip. You don't have to do them all together. You can do all of your muscle-up transitions. So if I'm on my round of 3, I'll do 3 transitions, and then we'll do 3 ring dips. And that ring dip is gonna go from the top of the ring down to my shoulders touch and back up to full extension. Now you can practice it as a ring dip from the bottom. So you can just press straight up from the bottom from a dead stop, because that's more likely what we're gonna do when we get our first muscle up, right? So I'm gonna come over, I'm gonna end up in the deepest dip I've ever been in my life, and I'm gonna have to press out from there. So you can do your muscle up transitions. You don't have to start the dip at the top, but if you wanna make it harder, you can start from the bottom and just press out from the bottom of that dip for your muscle up. So, yeah, good times. The last thing to talk about is our hang power clean. Now the hang power clean, again, this is for the workout at prescribed weight, 135 pounds for guys, 95 pounds for gals. The hang clean, I'm going from here, and this is a great one to remember to establish your hook grip. So if you don't have a hook grip on there, or that you use it regularly, please do it. It's gonna make your grip a whole lot better for this movement. But I'm gonna hinge forward and give it a big jump, and then catch that bar in that front rack position and come right back down. If I want to cycle it a little faster, I can keep my chest nice and tall and allow my arms to come straight and time my jump to where it's going to change the direction of that barbell. So let me show you what I mean by that. So a little bit faster cycle rate. This one tends to beat up your quads quite a bit. So if you're not trying to have big bruises on your quads, then consider that hinge forward, big jump in your transition for your hang cleans. And do remember, the clean is not done until you stand up. If I get it here and then bring that bar back down, I didn't finish my rep. You worked hard to get it here, just stand up a few inches before that bar comes back down. So that's what we're getting ourselves into. Again, 3 rounds for time, 50 air squats, 7 ring muscle ups, 10 hang power cleans, 135.95. Gonna be a good time anytime we do a benchmark. Make sure you write down your score, keep track of that so you can compare it in the future when it comes up again. And yeah, that's what we're getting ourselves into. It's gonna be a good one. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the gym. Let's get after it.